Christensen, and I'm so glad to see the questions that you've sent in today about how do we find hope in the age of climate crisis. And I wanted to deal with this question particularly because it's a question that's of great concern to my students in two of the graduate programs I direct, one in environmental studies and the other in resilient and sustainable communities. We're all asking this question, and I don't want to claim that I have all the answers, but I do want to share with you what I've found so far. So I'd like to start with the most basic question, which is how do we maintain hope at a time when both the science and the world around us, the extreme weather events, the wildfires, the drought, make it clear that we're in a bad place and things seem to be getting worse. It's a hard time to be hopeful. I look to one of the leaders who I've followed for many years, Joanna Macy, who published a book several years ago with a guy named Chris Johnstone, which is called Active Hope. And the suggestions that she offers may surprise you, but they fit really well with other practices that I've been engaged in over the year. And that is the first step in maintaining hope is to feel gratitude, to create opportunities to really be grateful for the things that we have in our lives, whether it's a warm, dry place to sleep, the food that we've eaten, the love of family and friends, whatever it may be. But in starting the day with gratitude, we actually create sort of a psychological buoyancy, she suggests, a resilience of spirit. And out of that gratitude, hope finds a place to really flourish. The next step might be even more surprising, though, and that is to honor the pain that we feel for what's going on in the world right now. Not to ignore it, not to deny it, but to pay attention to how that pain manifests itself in our own lives, whether it's the grief we may feel about the loss of species, the loss of forests, the anger we may feel over the inaction of political leaders, the outrage we may feel for the marginalization of the global south in climate talks, whatever it may be, the general fear at what's going to happen, and that we make space for those feelings and we honor them, because in fact they give us something very, very important. It's sort of a feedback loop, as Joanna Macy suggests. If you're on a ship heading for an iceberg, it's really good to be getting back that information that tells us, hey, we need to change course. And those feelings that we have of grief, of anger, are the feedback that we're receiving that says, okay, it's time to do something right now. So in a sense, we can be grateful for those feelings, but it's important that we're able to share them, either one-on-one with a friend or in a small group. And creating those sorts of groups, I think, is really a great way to think about doing this. The next step in Joanna Macy's active hope approach is to help create a new way of seeing, to find ways that expand your perspective in useful ways, whether that is expanding the sense of self-interest to include other beings, other people, by working through different conceptions of time so that we see ourselves not only caught in this worrisome moment, but as a part of a larger process of humans figuring out how we can perhaps learn how to do things a little bit better here. To create communities that are supporting us, helping us to move forward, so that we're coming from a place where we are being realistic, but we're also supporting ourselves in ways that will sustain help. And then to step forward, that's the last step, to find the things that we can do. I'll talk more about this in a few moments, but there are so many things that we can be doing, and I do want to suggest that helping others find hope, even if that means just listening to them, asking the kinds of questions that allow them to be to come clean about the feelings that they have that maybe they've been keeping inside. Because when you keep those feelings inside, those block the kinds of actions that we want to be able to take. And I would just add that as you're listening to folks who are feeling really concerned about climate change, as hopefully more and more of us are, that we don't feel the need to respond to try to talk them out of those feelings, but really we're just listening. We're listening to them. We're holding that space for them. That's so important.